Hello.
Morning, Sanity.
Oh God, that's terrifying if I'm your idea of a pillar of sanity.
It's been a few crazy weeks, Glory.
I know. So tell me all about it. Oh, I am here to
Where is the supervisor?
serve the community needs. What?
Where's the little four-legged supervisor? I thought I heard him for a minute.
Yeah, her. Petunia, you want to come and say hi to Aunt Vi? No interest, sorry. I tried. Petunia, come here, baby. Don't be that way.
Say hello.
Say hello. Oh, say hello. Whoa.
Yeah, maybe not. What, Petunia? Don't you want to say bark hello to me at least? No, not even remotely.
I'd be very excited if you were here, but she can't smell you. So who are you?
I get it. And the smell-o-vision thing hasn't been perfected yet.
No, if if she could smell you, she'd be licking the screen. But
Oh my God, Gloria. See, what had happened was, thought we would have a nice, quiet, simple dinner for, I'm still working on finding a new name for Thanksgiving.
a simple dinner for 80 people.
No, this one was quiet compared to my old Christmas dinners. And then got a phone call and an email that Jay and Judy Towing were going
right, you were telling me a little about that. Yeah,
25 miles from me. They were going to Illinois to pick up a special new old stock gas stove. One of those things.
Yeah. Cool.
And I went, you're going to be within 25 miles of me. You are stopping, right? And, since they're both First Nation, they don't think about Thanksgiving. Said, look, we're having a little family party. Come on over. And a couple of places to the table, which was fun. Out of 10 people, 6 were First Nation. Gotta love that. And just laughed and joked and ate until none of us could move. Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Judy and Jay were going to stay until Sunday. I convinced them to stay until Tuesday because an old friend of theirs was coming in to visit and spend 2 days in the library. Tom Butts was coming down from Chicago. He's a Leatherman you might recognize, but probably not a name.
I don't know the name.
Okay, so taking a quick left turn to play Thread the Needle. Tony DeBlas was married to a wonderful man named Andrew Charles.
Right.
When Tony died, Andrew ultimately remarried one of their best friends, a guy named Tom Butts.
I see. Okay.
When Andrew died, Tom ended up with the personal effects of both men. Because archives had come in and gone through Tony and Andrew's collection for the things related to Drummer and some personal papers and things like that, which is wonderful for them, didn't mean a whole lot to me. But my relationship to Tony was really kind of special. He was one of the few men I ever called daddy. And when we served together on the board of the Leather Archives, I was Daddy's Golden Retriever, which was my nickname on the board, which I thought was hysterical and still do. It's so when Tom had called about 7 months ago and said, I'd like to talk to you and your lawyer about leaving something to the library when I die. Sure. We had a 3-way call with Amelia, who is our corporate lawyer. And I'm thinking he wants to leave the library $5,000 or $10,000 when he told me what he wants to leave. And I immediately shut off my screen because I started crying. And picked up my teeth, come back into the meeting and said, there is a part of me that hopes I never have to collect that. But you said you had some personal effects of Tony's, and that's more important to me. And what do you got? And he said, I've got half a garage full. And I went, okay, Could you be a tad bit more specific? And
yeah.
Some of the boxes have started to arrive. I have Andrew's Hellfire vest. It's on display in Tony's Tony DeBlas room. I have Tony's IML jacket, his yearbooks, family photo albums, which I'm trying, a lot of the family artifacts, I'm trying to find his son to give back, because people tend to forget Tony was married.
I didn't know that.
And foremost, his wife died when their son, I think, was only about 6 or 7.
Oh, wow.
And Tom said he hadn't seen the boy since his father's funeral, which was 20 years ago. I tend to forget how long Tony's been dead. So anyway, all of these things have started coming in, and, you know, they've been a serious stroll down memory lane. I've been finding places in Tony's room to hang them and put them up and add his books and things to them. And then Tom says, I'm going to be in Chicago, want to spend 2 days in the Scholars Room, which is what it's there for. So I figured, let me surprise Tom with Judy and vice versa, because they were due to leave. Judy and Jay were going to leave Tuesday, stop by the library, hug Tom, and then get on the road. So they could spend half the day driving and then do the other half on Wednesday. They're packing up on Tuesday to come to the library and got a call from Judy's son, David, who is staying with them in Baltimore, that he's under a COVID watch. There was a COVID case at the museum because he works for the Baltimore Art Museum. And everybody is under quarantine, which meant Judy and Jay were stuck with me for at least 5 to 6 days. You know, you can see me clutching my pearls over that, right? So we all got together at the library. They walked in on Tom, who just had a fit, which I kind of expected. And it was kind of old home week. And instead of doing half of the stuff that he was going to do at the library, we were back and forth to the house because Judy cooks like, you know, 8 people are actually 80. And the 15 pounds I put on in the 5 days she was here, I think, are evident in my face. So we had lots of fun for the 2 days. Tom is looking at other things that he can send. He's made jokes about the fact that the personal belongings of the 2 men are taking up half his garage. And he is suggesting now actually getting a small pod, the smallest of them, and shipping it out in one instead of the insane amount of money it's cost him to ship some of these boxes, because they weigh more than I do. And that's going some.
Oh my God.
Well, books are heavy, as my back reminds me.
Yes, I know. And,
you know, there have been a lot of notebooks and some amazing things, including the original notes from Tony's dissertation when he was in Iran. And the kinds of things that, to me, a young scholar would be looking for if they wanted to know the man. And that's the stuff that's more important to me than his notes or layouts on any particular drummer magazine. The same thing with Andrews.
All right.
So that's been coming in kind of slowly. Tom left Thursday. Douglas O'Keefe came in Friday.
Don't know him either.
You will. He's on a very special interview project around the world. Actually,
oh wow!
Interview kinky folk that's partially funded by the archives, mostly by him and the fact that he's a flight attendant. So he has a certain amount of leeway.
Right, how nice. Yeah.
And in all of the conversation, he said, are there 10 people you would recommend that I interview? And you're one of those 10. So some links are going to be starting probably this weekend, Douglas V. Gloria, and, you know, some lists of people that I think he should interview. Well, anyway, came in to do the interview with Jill, found out Judy was here. They know each other. So another 2 days of love and crazy and even more food, you can tell by the food baby, and 2 extra interviews because while Judy was here, Douglas interviewed her, and then the 2 of us in the rare books room falling all over Amnesia Lane. Let's see. Douglas left. Something else happened. Robbie's getting stronger, thank goodness, because for a little while, I was worried about the knee and the flexibility, but the pain is beginning to subside. And they finally figured out it's not from the operation per se, it's from the fact that the first one 11 years ago was done incorrectly. So
wow.
muscles that have not been used properly in 10 years are all coming back to life going, oh, we've got to talk. Which makes me feel well, both of us, because the continued pain kind of past the level that it should be at this stage was worrying both of us.
Right.
And it's just a whole bunch of muscles that now need physical therapy more so than the standard muscles that go along with a knee replacement. So that one is improving, thank goodness. The boy felt cocky enough yesterday to drive for the first time, take himself to the gym and get on the bike. Came back feeling like 9 days of rugged road, which is, of course, to be expected. And in the course of all of this, got a call from the Colorado community, and my links with them are a little iffy, mostly because a whole lot of the community has fought, divorced, gotten messy, gone sideways, or whatever, as couples can do.
Right.
They have talked for years about starting a library in Denver. The person who has wanted to do it, as much as I like her, has a reputation for never finishing projects. And this is a serious undertaking. If you're going to take on an annex,
right,
isn't gee, it's interesting today, I'll go do something else tomorrow. And then I got a call from other members of the community and this child's master. No, we're serious about this. She's more focused, but this is going to be a community effort. Okay, let's talk. And they said, better yet, how about we drive out? So I've got 5 members of Denver who are due here. They're driving straight through on Thursday to spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the library and drive back Monday. 1 day of education about what the library is and what it really takes to start one and maintain it. 2 days of research and scholarship. And then, also before Christmas, I've got some crazy scholar coming in from Massachusetts who evidently has written, about 10 years ago, wrote a book on a woman named Lillian Harmon. Now, her father, Moses Harmon, hero of mine, Lillian was quite the feminist in the very early 1900s, and then after her father disappeared, dropped off the face of the earth, or at least according to scholars and researchers. No one know what happened from about a year after Daddy's death till the time she died 12 years later. And sitting here in my workroom are 3 gigantic boxes of letters from the family that were found in a storage locker 3 years ago.
Wow.
Now, originally there were 7 boxes, including an almost complete run of Moses Harmon's newsletters.
Wow.
There were
That's impressive.
2 years, yeah, they were missing 2 years. And there were a few other newspapers in there from other anarchist papers that were common of that era, including the Freeman's paper, the Liberté from France, and one from the Legitimation League in London.
Mhm.
But somewhere in these boxes is the story of where this broad has been for 12 years, as well as, because the letters are actually her son's, and it includes stuff from his wife. And so now it's
Right, I see. Mhm.
of going through easily 4,000 letters to see if enough pieces can be put together to figure out what Lillian Harmon was doing. Now, all of a sudden, I've got someone who is non-tribal, never met this woman before, going, can I spend time going through some of this? Hi, welcome to my life recently. What were we saying about stress?
Why are you stressed by this? This is all great stuff. Great news on Robbie. I mean, this is all wonderful stuff, and fellowship and a big Thanksgiving, or
I don't have to worry about Christmas until January, or gift exchange or holidays until January, because we usually partied as a family on 12th night anyway. But now 3 of the members are just getting out of surgery, including Lakshmi, who's had yet another back surgery and probably won't be able to travel for another 3 weeks or so. So, we'll postpone that until the end of January, which is wonderful. And somewhere in there, which is one of those things I really need some advice on, we are having our first ever scholars slumber party.
well, that's adorable.
I've got 4 PhDs
Uh-huh.
spending 3 days at the library who will probably never get out of their pajamas.
Take pictures.
Yeah. And I get to be the fly on the wall for this intellectual clusterfuck. And I'm going,
Yeah. These are all fun things. What kind of advice do you need? Have a good time? Get enough sleep? Stay away from the cookies?
wait a minute, so far you got 1 out of 3 of those. Get enough sleep, I'm pretty sure automatically went out the window. Stay away from the cookies. Gonna pack the fridge. That's easy stuff. Thank God the kids are across the street. Because the last time we left 2 scholars in the library, we didn't see them for 3 days. The kids just, they come across once a day. Each one would take turns, unlock the door very gently, go, are you still alive? Hope that they heard a noise, bring in food, leave it on the table, check all the rooms and go, oh, okay, you're fine. And then leave again. But this one's going to be a first. And aside from a lot of food, I did a preliminary video, just a general walkthrough of this is what's available, without being able to give them a lot of specifics, because so much of this, as I once tried to explain to one of my catalogers, I can acquire a whole lot faster than you can catalog. Not to mention the fact that when it actually comes to the true academics of how this is properly separated, cataloged, and archived, so that the meta-whoosies and the thing of what's its and all of the words that scholars need to look up crap is done properly, I'm out of my league. My job is to use memory, experience, and, horribly abuse my friends to get clues as to where to find certain
memories and minions. That's
that too. To try and remember what was done. Are there still copies of it? Or if they're if you can remember what was done, I'll go see if I can find a copy of it. Not realizing how much of it is kind of rare. Mostly because most people didn't remember it was done. You know,
Yeah.
Female Trouble in Philly, Female Trouble 25 years ago did a survey on domestic violence in Philadelphia. I don't think 100 copies were printed when they finished and got their results and released them to the people that had helped do them. By accident, I found a copy in a whole bunch of magazines. I bought a box of magazines, sight unseen, and there was a copy of the survey in it. You know, remembering that it was done, that becomes a very important part of our domestic violence section, even if it is very dated. But finding things like that, I figured that's my job. It's time for me to leave to much better minds of my own how to catalog things like that. But in dealing with this first scholars pajama party, which is actually the way it's being billed, which I have to laugh about. I'm wondering, as you know, as Dr. Brame, if you were wandering off into you know, intellectual fun with women you knew, staying in a library, what would you need? What would want, other than some magnifying glasses and, you know, a whole lot of SD cards so you could photograph things. But seriously, what should be there?
What, you ready to take notes now? I would say you stock it. I guess they have access to a bathroom.
Yes.
That's the number one thing that any group of people need is access to 1 or 2 bathrooms. Are any of them disabled?
No, not yet. You know, that's one of the things we're thinking about, you know, in terms of the very small ramps, because the nice thing is both buildings are only 2 steps up. They're ground level. But having...
Yeah, a small ramp is just a friendly thing anyway, you know, when you're going to have people in and out. But that's not for immediately, obviously, if you have people who are not going to have any difficulty with access. I guess the next thing is they have any special needs? Are there times of the day they need to be reminded to take pills? Do they, you know, is there anything they're significantly allergic to so you don't let your cat in there? I mean, I don't know, you know, just the basics. And then if they have any food allergies, so you know what to stock. And it would be super nice, I'm not suggesting you set it up, but you know, to have a coffee station.
Coffee pot.
And water.
I know. I actually need, I thought I had.
And a mini fridge.
Sent you the walkthrough of the library. Send to Gloria walkthrough of library.
But, you know, I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, if when you run a conference, you leave some kind of food, whether it's a plate of donuts or a fruit display or something they can.
I like that, fruit display.
You know, just a big bowl of fruit that they can help themselves to. Everybody likes fruit, usually, you know, crackers and peanut butter around, you know, little things that they can snack. But preferably you might want to make a rule that, you know, if they're handling books that they, I don't know how particular you are, but you might want to give them gloves for book handling.
There are, I need to send you the video, just so that you can see what everything looks like. Right now we're in 2 little houses, each one's about 1,000 square foot, and they're next to each other. The library is in one, which is most assuredly over 21. The Center for Sex and Culture is actually about 14 and over with your parents or your therapist. It contains the books that we inherited from Carol Queen and Bob Lawrence. And it's set up so that a therapist can meet someone there who they couldn't necessarily talk to, for instance, in high school. If they wanted to talk to a young queer youth.
Right.
Indiana's laws are really strange in terms of what can be done on school grounds.
Okay.
So, and we've had a couple of therapists have meetings with parents.
Right.
At the center. Hi, you need to talk to your child about.
Do they all have gloves?
And by the way, here's the books. Wrong building. That's the other building.
Okay.
Now what the center has been kind of a dream for me, in that I always wanted to have a room where someone could stay in the library. So of the 2 bedrooms in that house, one is, we call it the scholars room. So, it has a really good futon that's got a serious mattress on it. Not the little skinny crap.
Right. I was going to say another thing is sort of a lounge area or a lounge room where they can take a break. They can take a paper plate in there and put some food on it.
Yeah. So in that building, because you live there, as a matter of fact, our senior scholar, Tony Celine, who also really wants to interview you, I keep getting you into trouble. It's my job.
I see this because you're trying to make my life like yours. Baroque.
I don't know what you're talking about, Gloria. So it has a fully functioning kitchen, unlike the library that doesn't.
Gotcha.
So, someone could literally stay there for a month.
Do they have access to showers?
Both buildings, think house.
Okay.
But both buildings have full bathrooms. The center has a kitchen, the library doesn't.
We'll be working in the center.
They can work in both.
I see.
Because if,
sounds like you thought of everything. What else would you want to give them? I mean,
oh,
you can provide if they want to take notes, but I mean, everybody does it digitally if they're young. So I don't know how relevant that is anymore to have used to put pads and pens out in a conference area.
I'm figuring, I was thinking Post-its.
You don't want them putting it on the pages of books though, right?
For their own, we're putting Post-its on the shelves or Post-its here or there to make notes for themselves. I'm having some library cards made, the long, almost bookmark like, so that you can remember where you pulled the book from, or leave a marker in it so you can go back to it. I figured maybe 50 of those. I was thinking Post-its so that, not just the little ones, but also the big sheets, if they wanted to like brainstorm together for something.
For that, I would suggest a cork board. They can pin notes, statements, revelations, things they want to discuss, and just pin it to the board. I don't know how you would use it, but if somebody is reading through something and instead of going around and interrupting people, post it on the board. And whoever passes by can find them.
How about an easel? Or do you think that's overkill for just 4 people?
How about what?
An easel.
Why?
Not sure.
Yeah. I mean, do you mean a bulletin board on an easel? Or do you mean
to have something to put something large on? Whether they want to pull out some art.
No.
Or okay.
I can pin it to the cork board. Don't pin any originals, but if you make do you have a copy machine in there?
Scanners, yes. Copier, well, we've got a printer. Let me make sure the printer has ink.
Or a scanner. Scanner's good, better.
We've got 3 scanners.
So they can do it on their phone and send it to the scanner, right?
Yeah. We've got
Good
2
enough.
in the center and 1 in the library.
Mm-hmm.
Double check on the printer. Because
That really covers most of their needs.
this one's kind of a test run. And
Right.
when Tony wanted to set it up, she said the real secret of this is we're all going to be in the same place, rather than scattered all over in, in a hotel or here or there.
Are you going to give them dishes or everything paper?
We already have paper there.
If you have paper, everything, paper cups and paper plates and disposable forks and knives, that's fine. But otherwise, they're going to need, I'm sure you have a trash can,
Yeah.
but they're also going to need a way to eat on things and then either dispose of them or have a place to drop them off, right?
We have some paper there, mostly because I'm lazy. So, there's some paper and some plastic. There is cookware.
What are your rules to them? Do you have rules like don't touch anything with bare hands? Because, you have to think for the future. What if you have a steady stream of traffic in and out and everybody handling your books? It'll damage the books.
Flipping to the next.
You don't need a proxy in there monitoring them 24/7, but they have a duty to the library not to harm the books, to handle them gently, to dispose of all their own garbage immediately, to let you know if ants come crawling out of something. Where there's people, there's crumbs. And where there's crumbs, there are bugs.
True. And we're pretty careful. I like this basic code, which is something I hadn't thought of. Use good sense. Don't harm books, handle gently, clean up after yourself. Your mama don't live here, no matter what you may call me.
Yeah, I think I would press on that there's no support staff who's gonna clean up for them. And the same thing in the lounge area. Lounge area is their responsibility. Somebody will check every day and they'll be held to pay if they leave you the mess.
Clean up, careful of crumbs. Trash can is outside. Well, I'll point.
Careful with spills. Every spill must be cleaned up right away. If you're talking about college kids,
a little older, figure late 20s, early 30s. These are all PhDs.
That doesn't mean they're clean.
No, I mean in terms of age.
Have you ever
at least into their late,
have you ever walked into a grad student's apartment?
Oh, yeah, good point. I remember mine. No, I was
right. Mine, it was just chaos. So, because all I was thinking about was school, and
mine was a little
not
more
dusting.
fastidious because as a grad student and a dorm director, my girls were always in my apartment, so mine stayed fairly organized. But
tell them it's their choice. Either it's free if they clean up after themselves, or they have to donate to have a maid come in and do the job.
Because I have
with freedom comes responsibility, kids.
Oh, I like that line.
So they're free to stay, they're free to use, they're free to eat, they're free to drink, they're free to take a poop, grab a shower, grab a nap. Everything's set up for them, but this isn't a hotel. And I think you really have to impress that on people who are staying in your space. This is not your parents' home, and this is not a hotel. And if you break a lot of our rules, you'll never be allowed back.
Yeah. because this is, when we first were thinking about the scholars and artists having a place to come, or having someone who's passing through and having a place that was not a hotel room to be able to extend a certain amount of hospitality. Tony was the first one in and helped us work out some serious bugs in terms of, because she was there first trip for 2.5 weeks. She wrote her first book there. And, things like lighting and, toning it down for this, putting it up for some, adding some more in this room and that room and things like that. And it was really helpful. And there were little things that got tweaked, which was fun and good, because, when you're putting it together yourself, you don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about the fact that I was squinting. Maybe I need a different light.
What kind of seating do you have there? Is it all chairs at tables?
Room one, if you're in the center, room one, which would have been the living room of the house. There are bookcases on 2 walls. There is a big, almost like a library table in the middle. There are 4 fairly comfortable chairs around it. You walk through the main room into the kitchen is kind of left or down the hallway. You go down the hallway, past the bathroom on the right, a small storage area on the left. Straight ahead is the little scholars room that has bookshelves, a desk, and the futon, which flops down into a little bigger than a double bed. We've got, and a decent sized closet. So we have extra linens there. There is a linen closet.
Mm-hmm.
I always keep extra paper there because if the kids need it, somebody has run out of toilet paper, if the kids have a key to that house. So, okay, if you need to grab a thing of toilet paper or paper towels, put it back. But there's extra there. There's extra linens. And I think there's 4 quilts. Coffee maker, because I need coffee no matter where I move.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 1 in each building.
Okay, so you have 1 futon. What if 2 people need a break and they want to be comfortable?
Now, this is where you go next door. Or you pull up a space in the last room, which is a place where a lot of kids have been doing their broadcasting. It's set up kind of like the first room, shelves on 3 sides, table in the middle. Against the opposite wall is a television, a gaming computer, and so on.
Nice.
So
can I just move in? What the hell?
The munch
Over in Petunia. I mean, that was really very nice. The only other thing I can think of is, because I live in an not that I live in it, but I like armchairs.
We've got one in the game, which has one of those you sort of press back and the footrest kicks up.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't go down, but the footrest kicks up, so you could conceivably fall, either curl up or fall asleep or something.
That's great. Is that the same room as where the futon is, or this
no,
is the
that's the room opposite it.
Then it's pretty good. I think that's everything.
And then when you go next door to the library, which is where I'm thinking, instead of, we're going to put the other 2 blow up futons in the media room. I've got 2 queens that are the higher, high old people. They're the 19-inch high. And while, hopefully you like each other because you might be a tad bit crowded.
Is there anything you don't want in there? Like, for example, beer?
Gloria, I don't know. See, this is all part of, I'm making an assumption that I now have to back up and think about, because my generation would have said, you're being gifted the space, don't be stupid. But in thinking from trying to think from the perspective of a different generation. There are things that I realize have to be said that I would never have thought about.
So like, there are things you probably definitely do not want in there. Maybe knives is one of them. Maybe beer is one of them, or any alcohol while they're working. You know, in other words, if they're going to have alcohol, let them do it in the break room.
In the kitchen, right. In the kitchen, confine it.
Confine it. And they are smoking weed. Is it legal? It's not legal in Indiana, right?
No, it's
okay.
not.
It probably should. Do you have a place for them that's safe outside where nobody will see them?
Yes, actually.
Okay, so you have a smoking patio for all your smoking needs. No smoking in the library?
I like that.
And this has a lot to do with just what the effects of these things could be on your collections.
Yes.
You know, it's not even a moral thing or even an Indiana law thing, but simply, you know, you just want to keep your books in a clean environment, as clean as possible. And humans are humans, you know, anything that has a lit end, whether it's a cigarette or a doobie man, it's going to have ashes and it's going to, you know, possibly burn something, and that can't happen in that room.
Smoking outside. I see, again, things I hadn't thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm thinking about all the times I have to go outside an event to smoke.
Point well made.
You know, no smoking in the space.
Keep food in the kitchen. I like that one.
Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. Just reminders, you know, nobody's going to be severely punished or kicked out for an infraction as long as it was an honest mistake. But everybody should get that list. I would give it to them in the packet and hang it up in the room.
Yeah, because I'm going to have, you know, a simple welcome.
This is your non-negotiable list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so books don't like a lot of humidity. And with extra people in there, there will be extra heat and body heat. You might want to add a dehumidifier just for the
I like that. If only in the rare book room.
Yeah, I mean, it probably should be there anyway all the time.
We have a small one, yeah, but
it's probably good
that
enough.
amount of people probably ought to put a dehumidifier in the rare book room.
Oh, you have a rare book room? This is, oh, hell yeah. Gloves.
They're all over the shelf. Okay, so, all right, now that you have now taken a walk through the center.
Okay.
Next door
awesome.
is the library, which is where it all kind of started. Remember, it's a small house. So you have the standard living room, kitchen, blah, blah, blah. So you walk into the first room, which is kind of a general, more modern reading room. I have a small desk there. There are two really comfy green chairs there, boy green, Robbie insisted. And they were a gift from one of the neighbors. A little library stool / ladder and 3 walls of books.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much labeled in terms of what's there. We have a small shelf just for some of our dissertations, a small shelf for foreign books that's literally right behind the desk. And you walk through there and straight into what would in a normal house be the kitchen. We've made it into a media room. So we took out the stove, put in a small area for a desk that we've got a computer monitor on that somebody can attach their laptop to and have a bigger screen. There are 2 scanners there. sink, small coffee maker, microwave. There's a microwave, as well in the bigger kitchen. But
would they be spending a lot of time in the library or where?
they're in both. You
They're
have
in both,
keys
in and
to
out.
both houses.
I
That's
think, right, but I think they should think of the first house as their main center, since the library also has other visitors.
they
I
work
wouldn't,
during this, but
I wouldn't let them eat there.
yeah, that the microwave is there more for me, as is the coffee maker, because see, column A, Vi has to have coffee all the time.
I'd put a little sign on it for office use only.
Only go to the medium, go next door. I like that.
Yep. Because they don't know.
And in that room, which is kitchen size, that's where we're going to put the other two beds. But we use it for media. It's big enough that if people like each other, you could probably get 15 people in there. We have a movie screen, and that's where all our DVDs are kept, where the VHS.
That's really cool.
So that, again, our local Munch group has run movie nights in there. And we have about 400 titles that are available. You can either, if they all want to watch them together, or take a book of movies over and run them on their computer or on the television. So that's available. And then you go down the hall. Bathroom in this case is on the left. And this house is 3-bedroom. So the first room you come to on the right, which is the smallest of the three, is our rare book room. And again, I'm sending you the tape as soon as we finish. The YouTube as soon as we finish. We have a rare book room. A lot of newspapers in the closet. There is a small fake fireplace there just because I like the look of it. Wingback chair and a little stool.
Mm-hmm.
And 2.5 walls of bookshelves of the limited titles, the stuff from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, the numbered books, and so on. Right behind that on the right side is our art room. Because I've managed to acquire a whole lot of it. And then on the opposite side is a room named after Tony, which is where our magazines are kept. And where we do most of the cataloging and processing. There's another computer there.
This reminds me a lot of, the Tom of Finland house.
So I've been told, but Tom of Finland is twice the size and Victorian from what I get.
Well, it's and also very rich people, apparently. I mean, I've taken a tour, and it's like, you took the tour with me. Didn't we do the tour at a claw thing? Maybe you weren't there.
No.
At a virtual claw, we took a tour of Tom's house.
No, I haven't done that one.
Wow. They poured millions into that. Yeah. And it was a stunning house.
I wish. But it's funny, Gloria, because in all of the people that have either been there, stayed within the two buildings or whatever, the usual reaction is come in, kick off your shoes, find something to read, and fall asleep on the floor, which I actually like.
I like that.
It's the young man who
in Tom's place, even though they have scholars, it just looks like a place where you can't touch anything and you'd be afraid to lie on the floor. And it's really, no, I would not be, that would be a place I'd go for a few hours, whereas your place sounds like a place where a person can live. You might be my retirement plan.
When Matt Carey was up and visiting with his girl and staying in the scholars room, he said, I've got to be able to show this to my Munch group. Would you mind doing this? I want to do a walkthrough, which is how we ended up with the YouTube.
Nice.
And he had said, it reminds me of coming home to grandmom's. And I made the remark, only if your grandmom is as kinky as old lamb's wool. which he happens to have caught on tape. But it was meant to sit down, put
I
your
feel
feet
like
up.
sending you a quilt now. You want quilts? All I'm thinking as you're talking is, I wonder which books I could give her. I have so many books. And I am really trying to downsize right now.
You are actually, while we're talking, hold that thought.
I mean, I have so many autograph books.
There is a shelf that is next to my desk that even though a lot of them are duplicates, it is from friends of the author. And they're all autographed because I have an ego. And I adore knowing that so many of my friends are authors and writers.
Right. And I hang on to them for the same reason. All of these books, I can't dispose of them or give them away because they were signed to me and I have a memory of the author.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. And I just.
But at the same time, I would donate so that others who might never have heard of this particular person could actually see their signature and know they handle that particular edition. And it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Okay, coming back
All right.
to you and putting this right here.
Ah, I see it. Okay.
And I realized that, okay, we've expanded into 2 houses. At some point, we have to expand again. And assuming I won the unlimited lottery ticket, no matter what got built, it would have to look like a house.
Yeah,
All right, it might have an awful lot of wings in it. But
I hope you get to buy the whole block and have your own compound.
I'm working on it, Gloria. I'm working on it, and that will make more sense when you see the video. But
I got it queued up and ready to go as soon as we're done.
Even if we were lucky enough to have the money to build a building, trying to explain to a designer, an architectural engineer, it's got to have a double basement, for preservation.
Right.
And believe it or not, for a tornado shelter in case of need. But whatever gets designed above either has to look or feel like a hacienda or a villa, because that coming home to grandmom's, kick your shoes off, hang your coat up, go grab a book, and there are enough quilts around that if somebody finds you asleep, they're simply going to cover you up and leave you there.
Well, maybe you should move into the new house, and since you already have the other spaces being slowly transformed, including your own house, maybe you should move into the hacienda or the villa. And then just save that for actual family and group meals.
I spent too much time building the garden in this one, but the next door neighbor, the guy who has the house next to the library, which again will make more sense when you see this, rents it from the family that owns it, who lives 3 blocks down. And he confessed to a friend of his who I know that every time he sees the realtor on the block, he gets nervous because he's afraid that the people who actually own the house he's renting have sold it to the crazy Black woman next door.
Would that be you, my darling?
And as funny as it sounds, I keep trying to talk the owner into selling me the house, and I figure I put a mortgage on one to get the money to buy that one, because love you, mean it. He's a wonderful neighbor. Get out. Um, which is a horrible thing to say, isn't it? But it feels like
How else may I help you today? This was not the conversation I thought we'd have.
We're going to have that one next time. Because we are going to do a series with Dr. Gloria Brame on talking about stress.
Okay. But this is just prepping for scholars.
This is calming my head.
You're treating them like royalty as far as I'm concerned, because if I was a grad student and I was going to a dinky little place that I knew nothing about and where all my hopes and dreams lie, that I'll find that magic key to the research that I'm doing, to be treated like a human being and to know that my comfort was even considered would be a blessing. You don't know what it's like. Yes, you do. You were in grad school. I mean, I've been to a couple of, like, I went to the One Project when I was in San Francisco.
One as in the Mattachines?
That one.
Okay.
So they have a history project, and they have an archive with, or they did, where everybody was sitting there in white gloves. I kid you not. I just use latex myself, but everybody had to wear white gloves and sit at a table. There was no talking, not much, there was no place, you were there and you worked, and it was its own community, but it was very scholarly. Like, it was like working at the Columbia University Library. There was just enough stuff there for you to give yourself to your work, but there was nothing there that really thought about what you needed.
Wow.
To be able to sit there for 6 hours. So if you were in for 6 hours, you went to a booth, or like a cubicle, like you see in graduate center libraries.
Yes. Okay.
Or college libraries. It was that kind of, you're here to work, and if you want to live, leave the building. If you want to smoke, or you want to eat, or you want to drink, or you want to do anything else, you have to leave the area because you are not trusted.
Wow.
Think about it. When you went to your college library, were you allowed to bring in food? No.
Yes.
You were?
We were. But remember, I was in college in 77. I graduated in 73.
Okay. Maybe I just went to a more hard-ass place, but all I remember was tables, chairs, and individual cubicles with typewriters in them.
Yes.
But you had to rent. You couldn't smoke and you couldn't drink. I mean, you could bring a drink, but
they were pretty tight about the kinds of containers you could bring in. Mm-hmm. It had to have a lid, and the lid had to screw on. None of the rubber, pressure stuff. It had to screw on like a baby's sippy cup.
The more you think about it, the more you'll realize that those places were not homey at all. They were nothing like the lounge. And what you're offering is kind of lounge and library experience. And I think that's very comforting.
In trying to think of ways that will spark creativity, Gloria, which is the reason for the pajama party format.
Right.
It's to kind of create a place where between the reading, the research, and the giggles, creativity is sparked.
I have a question. Do you have UPS stations where they can charge their phones and laptops?
We've got plenty of electrical outlets. I'm assuming everybody's going to be bringing their own cords, which is...
Yeah, but that cord may not you know, you need those little
We
special
have
things.
some of the little squares, you know, that people can just plug in. But because, for instance, the Samsung, which is has the dual plug, one for rapid charging and one for regular, works well for any Android. It doesn't work. It's incredibly slow for the Apple.
Mm.
Also,
the Apple has different cords now, so they don't plug into the USB port necessarily.
Bingo. Or the cords, like for my tablet. God forbid we were actually
I
given.
think that everybody who's sitting at the table, which is probably where they'll spend the most amount of time, there should be extension cords. If you don't have like a plug-in thing under the table or on the table,
They're
I'm sure
around the
you don't.
walls.
Yeah, so you should have a couple of electrical cords that have charging stations.
Charging stations.
That's a new thing.
Yeah. I just, we're
You know, you're sitting there, you're working on your phone. Maybe you're typing on this and you're working on your phone and your charge is low. Do you want to get up and go and sit and wait for it to recharge at the wall?
I like
Or do
that.
you want to be able to keep working? Well, you want to be able to keep working. Not as important in other rooms,
Extensions.
you know, one or two, but I think in the library close to the table.
Got it. I'll bring in two. I think I've got one that's more than long enough, especially if I take it down on the carpet, to either leave one right on the windowsill, or to pull a long one up and leave it on the table.
4 people, 4 charging stations minimum.
One per, okay.
Minimum. Because those things are running while they're awake.
True. Another thing that I hadn't thought of, different era, wrong era. And I'm not thinking in terms of group. Like I said, we've had different scholars in there, but never a bunch of scholars. And, you know, wow.
If it was 100 years ago, I would probably be saying, don't forget the green eye shades.
Got it.
Yeah. But today, what do they need? They need to be able to charge.
Got it.
Basic need.
Got it. And Gloria, I want it to be comfortable. I am hoping, you know, just it comes down to a gaggle of girls that all happen to be brilliant.
You know what would be a fun project if you want to assign them something? To have them do journaling on the experience of using the library.
Oh, I like that.
And then to leave those journals with you, both so that you are doing your own market research on what scholars need. If they say, shit, I starved today, we ran out of donuts, you know, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or I had the most interesting time and I did this and that. And, you know, tell them to make notes both on their level of comfort, but also the work that they do and what they achieved. Because you want to be sure your scholars are working. And you could then shelve their journals.
Oh, Brame,
for other scholars to look
You're
through.
good.
So they create, you give them skinny, you know, those school books we had as kids, they still sell them with the black and white covers on them, and you write your name. You give everybody one and you say you don't have to fill it up, but for the days that you're here, you know, before you leave the library for the day.
Got it.
Or during the day, just, you know, scratch down things that you think would be beneficial to the next generation of scholars coming in.
And to record their experiences. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. And it's funny.
And they'll always feel attached to the place if they leave that something behind.
Because you're also giving me more motivation to finish the little building in the back. There, the family that owned it had kids who were musicians. So they
Listen, you'll be 90 years old. You'll be reading their journals and crying with delight, you know?
And this building that's kind of in the back, we've just used for storage. As I'm thinking about this, you're giving me more motivation to see if I can get my munch group to help me clean that thing out and start working on it. Because at some point in time, there are going to be more than 4 scholars here. You know, if
you may end up finding little groups of scholars 9 months of the year.
Gloria, I would love that.
Why not?
I would.
You know, once they write their journal, they're going to be going home and talking about the place. They'll feel a part of the place. Word of mouth will spread at their schools.
I would love that.
And some of their teachers might want to come out.
And I didn't realize that I was kind of reinventing the wheel. All I wanted was a place where someone could be comfortable and hang out in the library. Hold that thought. I'm on a conference call. What's up? Sorry. Have at it. My pest control people insist that I know when they're here.
It's all being recorded for posterity.
It was to create just a, hi, come home and read. Come home and relax.
Right. It shouldn't take you more than a day to organize all of these little things, you know, or a couple of days, or hand them to your various, whether they're munch attendees, you know, just your own checklist. And I think you're going to be in great shape.
But you've given me so many great ideas and things that I would never have thought about.
I have one more. A sign.
Says Gloria Brame slept here or will be sleeping.
Future home of elderly Brame.
I'm good.
No, I was thinking something that is inspirational and that states the library's purpose and keeps them mindful. This is a sacred space for scholars. You know, I mean, whatever, however you want to frame it, this library is built on love. You know, my usual would be everyone welcome but haters, but you know,
I think I want it to be something about add your energy.
Yeah, brilliant. And just somewhere where they're going to see it every day when they come in. And they're going to respect it. Just to set the tone. I don't know why I think that's a good idea, but somehow I do. I think if I had people coming in a space, I would like to welcome them and tell them they're part of a higher purpose here.
I like it. I like it.
You know, they're part of the family now too.
Yeah.
I like it or not. More kids. Okay, I did have one final suggestion. Who's your point person?
It'll probably be Tony.
Okay, so is she going to be available to them throughout?
Yeah, she's one of the scholars who's going to be staying there.
Oh, okay. So it should be somebody who can get that thing or tell them where to get that thing. Like,
yeah,
Oh my God, I got my period. Well, we're all over 60, honey. I can't help you. But here's a map to the drugstore.
The advantage of the location, which will also make more sense when you see this. Katerina and her husband, Sebastian, are next to the center. It's a house that I used to own. I sold them that one to buy another one, and that, again, that's all on the video. So Katerina is on one side, Robbie is across the street, and Jack is next to Robbie. So to some extent, you're surrounded by family.
Right.
But
and I would make sure that anyone that is willing, because it's a burden for the days when they'll be there, but anyone who's willing can be either a, even a guide to Indianapolis. People come there, they're not, I'm sorry, you're not in, where are you?
No, we're in Evansville.
You're in Evansville.
But a guide to Evansville is a good thing.
A what?
Guide to Evansville.
A guide to Evansville.
Or a guide to downtown.
Or a guide even to your neighborhood. Here's where the grocery store is. Here's where the pharmacy is. Are these things walking distance?
Depends on what you consider a walk. A walk would be, well, they're young. A 10-minute walk is nothing.
10-minute walk is nothing unless it's 0 degrees. Then it's really hellacious.
Girl supplies.
So there should be some emergency transport if nobody's bringing a car. I don't know if they're driving in or flying in.
Flying.
If they're all flying in, you either, they can get Ubers, of course, but where would they go unless somebody told them where to go? So I would say, if you could give them a little welcome package to Evansville, which is, here's where the best Chinese place is. Here's where the best Indian food is. Here's the best burger in town. And here's how to get there. Want to see a movie? Need to take a break? Need to change your emotional temperature? Want to go drink and flirt with somebody? Here's the bar we like,
I like it.
Yeah. So, boy, that's a huge hospitality package, but I think it's nice. Because really, when I travel, even if I went there to study for 4 days, there'd be one day when I would want to just see something other than the block I'm on.
Walk around, get serious. Got it. I like
buy a little, buy a gift for somebody back home. A boyfriend or a girlfriend or a.
I like it.
Yeah.
Because this is the test. This is the one where all the mistakes are going to be made.
Right.
And slowly but surely we improve based on each one that happens.
What you don't want is for them to get bored. And we all think we can do 10-hour stretches 4 days in a row, but really that's killer. And as the mother of this little group, you should encourage them to take a walk occasionally, hit a gym.
We've got that.
Maybe, or, breathe some fresh air and buy themselves a cheap meal or go hit a taco stand or whatever's great,
I like it.
Because you can't feed them 3 meals a day.
We've got stuff in the fridge. We always keep things in the freezer. There's always.
It's too costly for you.
The breakfast.
It's too costly to feed 4 people for 3 days. And what if you got a group of 10? Do you know how much money that is? No.
Yeah. And
at these days, food prices, oh my God. Like even a hamburger now is ridiculously expensive.
Hamburger is frightening.
Yeah, all you need is one 6'4" guy.
You got that right.
And it's going to be round the clock food. So, let them go and get what they want. Let them eat it in the lounge.
We try to provide some basics. Like I said, there's always stuff. There's always coffee. There's always coffee, tea, and hot cocoa.
So coffee and donuts every morning. But you can't do more than that.
And fruit. I'd feel bad if I didn't.
But I mean, you can't have a pancake maker and the things, and no.
But if I'm going to provide them with donuts, I got to provide them with fruit, because that's my guilt complex coming out.
No.
If it's healthy and unhealthy, I balance.
Yeah, but you're not really responsible for the food bill. I mean, maybe in the future we do a food plan. I know you want to feed the world, Vi.
I want to put that up to Tony. This is
they're not coming to your home. Okay, they're coming to your research facility. All of these things we're talking about, the fruit bowl, the coffee maker, that's out of the kindness of your heart, and that's going to cost you plenty. You go buy 5 pounds of fruit and see what it's like. It's going to cost you plenty anyway. And I know you're going to want to feed them, and you're going to invite them to meals, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll probably
don't make food. Otherwise, you're going to come home one day and that 6'4" guy will have eaten half your fridge. You'll walk in the kitchen and he'll be like, "Oh, I took the chicken out of the freezer. Were you meaning to eat that for dinner?"
Or I had the whole turkey. Yeah.
Really, I mean, and they're young.
True that.
Okay, they're in their 20s.
True that.
They need fuel.
So I like
not your responsibility, but a nice welcome package where you mention the restaurants.
Yeah, that's a good one. And within 6 blocks, there are 2 good restaurants, 2 good bars, and a local coffee shop that is the classic, put your feet up, get comfortable, grab a book. Right. So it's an ideal walk when you've got to get out of the house. When you need to walk.
And people want to have conversations with their partners or their family that they don't necessarily want other scholars to hear.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. This brainstorming has been so.
Now, where can they go to jerk off? After reading about sex all day long.
But now, jerking off is because there's sex all over the library most of the time. You can go jerk off quietly in the rare books room. When you have been in the library, did you ever notice that there are paper towels in places most people don't think about or wonder why?
Okay, you got it covered.
Even in
I'm just imagining, 4 days in your 20s reading about sex and the insane things that we elders have done. That's just, and where are they going to release that energy? That's all I'm saying.
The first time I found, and I'm going back now 12, 13 years, we were in DC and had a library set up for DC Leather Pride. And the room had finally gotten quiet of visitors. And there was a young kid that had found a place in the corner and was there all day, just reading the drummers. It was finally quiet enough so that I could pay some attention to him. And I suddenly realized there's a sound coming forth that I'm familiar with. So I grabbed a roll of paper towels and very gently passed them over his shoulder. And you would have thought I'd hit him with a live wire. And I just passed them over his shoulder and said, "Not on the book."
Yeah.
He looked up like he had just been electrocuted, saw the paper towels, looked up at me, and I repeated, "Not on the book." He took the paper towels, looked up, grinned from wall to wall, went right back to what he was doing and cleaned up after himself. Well, from that point on, we kept like 4 or 5 rolls of paper towels in different places right on the bookshelf.
Please record that moment when you tell them what the paper towels are for. I want to hear.
And ever since then, we have had people masturbating in the library is a given. We've had people who have had sex in the library while groups are there. Ground rules: if you go under the table, because there's standard conference tables with tablecloths to the floor.
Right.
If you and a partner go under the table, rocking the wall is one thing, because you're not allowed to fuck in the middle of the tables in the middle of the room. Only the ones that are against the wall. Do not rock the display. Sex is fine. I don't care who hears you, as long as you don't knock over the display.
There you go. Maybe you should put that in your house, Rose.
Oh.
Paper towels will be provided for your sensual enjoyment. That's what I like about girls. We're very neat.
Thank God.
But guys,
and I'm not saying don't masturbate. I'm saying no matter what you call me, I ain't cleaning up after you. That's what the towels are for, and not on the book.
That's right, Mama.
Not, as a matter of fact, that might be a sign that I put up. Not on the book.
Hilarious. Well, that was my favorite part of this whole planning experience. Planning for the jerking off. Well done. You're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. You have relieved. This one is special to me. It was like the first time we had scholars in. And it's a test, but the damn thing was created so you could come home and learn.
Yeah.
And be and experience and write and continue to add to this body.
They are so lucky. They don't know how lucky they are until they'll get there, and then they'll find out.
And I want it to be a good one. Yes. Tell me about the mistakes. Each time it'll improve.
Yes.
But the fun of, at least for me, of having a gaggle of brilliant women in the same house is I get to be the fly on the wall. I get to listen, maybe do a little tour guiding, in terms of what you're looking for is over here. Although Tony has become more familiar with the library, it's the little things that, and there are a lot of them, first issues of newsletters and newspapers and, special issues of things and things like that I would know the location of more than Tony would.
Right.
And being able to direct that and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, it's going to be really amazing. Amazing.
So, anywho,
all right.
You've got other things to do. I really want your opinion on that YouTube.
Okay.
Now that once you see the area, you will have an outsider's perspective on things to be added, things to be moved, or
it sounds like you really have it all. I mean, I loved when I visited the library at the Master Slaves Convention. It was just fantastic, that space.
I want it to be the place where people are comfortable to come home.
It was great. It was amazing. And seeing all the people, in their own little world, buried in.
Kick off your shoes and come hang out.
Yeah.
So anywho, you got that. I'm dying to hear your opinion. When you go to YouTube, the library has its own channel. And there are a couple of other tours there. There is one of the Rare Book Room. There is a thank you to Tom about Tony's place. And there are a few other unboxing videos that are, but having you see the library in the center is of major league importance to me, because if for no other reason than once seeing it, it might trigger something else that should be here.
Fair enough.
Then next 2 weeks from now, we will talk about stress, I swear. And I'll show you more of the welcome packet.
I can't wait.
Gloria.
Love you. My pleasure. See ya.